Good sign. I'll tell you what else is a good sign. I see a
Welcome.
red box. That means neither the host or the guest can back out. Well, I guess one of us could, but hopefully that won't be the case.
I could walk out
My
of the room.
yes, true. Yeah, I'll tell you what. We are in fact live, and I have been looking forward to this one for quite a long while. And love everyone. Let me just say thank you so much for joining us. If you love what we do here, check out TalkShop.live to view hundreds of the like you. Now, this gentleman does not need one, but I'm going to put him to work already. Although behind the scenes, I think he broke a sweat. We put him to work. But Max, would you do the honors and share with everybody who you are in case they got the wrong show?
Yeah. My name is Max McNown. I'm a singer-songwriter originally from Oregon. Now I'm living in Nashville, and I just started street performing and taking little steps towards pursuing a dream and writing music. And one thing has led to another, and things are going well, and I'm extremely grateful. That's I'm 25 years old. There's I should throw that in.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? My eyes are green. My hat is blue, Steve.
And your favorite color is blue.
No,
No.
no, you missed that one.
Oh man. So much for fact checking. So it'll be better from this point on. I'm just going to add a few tidbits, although it's doubling down on what Max said. But his ascension connecting with the masses in such a relatively minimal span is nothing short of amazing. Truly, I've been in this business for a long time, from teaching himself, as he said, guitar on a local peer to the massive base of supporters on TikTok. I don't even know how they count these things. I can't count. I don't have that many fingers, but 2.6 million TikTok supporters and counting. And further today, coming off a sold out global headlining tour, back to back sold out nights at the historic Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. That's like the shrine in Nashville. And his debut performance at Stagecoach Festival. And he's just beginning. He's approaching 1 billion career streams, I believe, a massive 5 million plus social media following. And to build, let alone sustain this massive success over a short period of time, as I said, it's just an extraordinarily tall order. Not to mention, how many would be facing, trying to overcome this thing. But yet we're here tonight, and we're about to celebrate the forthcoming release of Max McNown's third album, Leave on a Light. And there's so much to celebrate because, man, did he deliver. And with that, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Let's kick this show off. Sam, if you would, please roll the video.
Thank you, Steve. You made it very easy for me.
As if my adrenaline wasn't amped up already. Now it's just gone to a whole nother level.
I was gonna say that was quite the intro, and honestly, seeing those names and the recap that you just gave, it definitely kind of put it in perspective for me. I'm a little emotional now, Steve. Look what you've done.
Okay, don't shed tears yet. We're gonna save that for
It,
later. But I appreciate that, Max. Man, I put some energy into this because I'm a huge fan, and I'm Steve Harkins. For those of you that don't know, the host for the Rock and Roll Channel, Talk Shop Live, and please welcome back to Talk Shop Live's Rock and Roll Channel. It's making a massive impact today. I say this with total confidence. He truly is the future of music. The amazing Max McNown. Max, thanks again for being here.
of course, and thanks for having me. It was such an enjoyable interview last time, and my whole family looks back at it as one of their favorites of all time. So you're standing the test, and so now no pressure. Like I said earlier, no pressure, but you got big shoes to fill, your own from the
Yeah.
past.
Well, thanks, Max. Yeah, as they say in the grocery business, clean up on aisle 4. I'm breaking out in a sweat, and all kinds of things are going on. But I just want to say, fans, my focus here isn't so much to serve the fans, but the McNown family first and foremost. But you fans are a close second for sure. We love you fans. But if you'd like to ask Max a question, or if you have a comment, use the chat function. We'll get to as many as possible. I said this the first time we got together, I think, Max, and I say this with all sincerity, but you're affiliated with the entertainment business, being an entertainer, but today times are a bit contentious, but it doesn't matter when you show up, you set foot on stage, or you deliver a new album. It doesn't matter what religious conviction one has or political affiliation. You bring people together, and music is one of the few common threads these days that we have in bringing people together. So what you do is extraordinarily important, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I just completely agree. I think when I look at my crowds, it is such a beautiful thing to see people from all walks of life, all united under one venue, watching a show and enjoying music. And it's just something that can bring people together. And I try to keep that at the forefront of my mind. And when I was growing up, one of my favorite memories that I have is listening to music with my father. And so
Yeah.
when I also get to see people from all age ranges at my shows, full families, some people going solo, some people with friend groups, it's just the community is just something that I never get used to it fully. It always blows me back.
I'll tell you what, I saw it firsthand when we got to meet in person. That was in Charlotte, which was the first date of your spring tour, and I saw that, exactly what you described, and it was amazing. I mean, people were captivated, but they tuned everything out except for that night being there in the moment and experiencing, your music, and it spoke to them 100%.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of interesting because as things have gone the direction they're going and it kind of starts to get bigger and bigger, there's a lot of pressure to start to write for what you think people want to hear, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. And
it
that's been a
does.
kind of a challenge lately, to really focus in because when I wrote most of that night diving album that we spoke about last time, I hadn't played a show in my life and now I'm coming up on around 300. And it's a conscious decision not to let that influence the way that you write, because if you're not, I don't want to change how I do things because it's gotten me where I'm at now, and it's helped a lot of people, and so I'm trying to keep that close to my heart.
There's a lot of things that have to be going on. Unfortunately, you don't get this singular manual that guides you, as to how to navigate through this kind of success. It's probably one of the most unnatural, somewhat dysfunctional industries and occupations that sometimes chooses you rather than you choose it, or a combination of both. But to try to navigate that, as I was saying, and and have stay in touch with your family, stay grounded, but also, as you said, stay true to the music. Where in the past, as you were alluding to, you kind of wrote for yourself and you put it out there, and hopefully it resonates with people. But we're gonna get into it, do a deep dive, but I'll tell you what, people are gonna love this record. You took it to a whole nother level, and it doesn't feel like you sold out or that it's canned. I think the emotion is, the message and everything on this album, is really powerful. And congratulations on this album, by the way. Leave on a Light. I stayed up all night worrying that I was gonna call it, Leave the Light On, but I won't
Oh,
call it that.
I think I've done that a fair share of times, and I wouldn't
Have you?
blame you. It's
Okay.
loosely the same thing.
Alright, well,
No,
you correct me if I'm wrong.
yeah, yeah, I will. Yeah, it's been I've been trying to grow from album to album, and I think every artist views albums in a unique way to who they are and what they want to do in music. But for me, albums kind of represent the phase of life that you are in, the era that you're in. And so I think that's why you see kind of a shift, not only because I'm you know, learning the music industry better and learning how to write better. That's the funniest thing, and equally the most beautiful thing is everybody that has been with me for these last 3 years has really seen me just experimenting and learning how to do this.
Right.
I like you mentioned before, I picked up the guitar at 21. I had only written a little bit of poetry before I started writing music, and my first song that I fully wrote was "Freezing in November," and it was
Yep.
released. And so you're going to see a natural, in my opinion, if there is no change or shift from album to album, then I'm not growing. And there's something that is wrong because I'm trying to, if I was doing that, I would feel as though I was trying to replicate earlier success. You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. You need to continue to evolve, but that's also, can create a strain and stress, and the pressure of trying to still appease your fans. But trust me, with this record being released, it's going to connect for sure. I love your comments about this album too. You said in a way most of the songs on the album are love songs and a tribute to your wife and your family and people who care about you and who you are outside of music that give you a place of peace and unconditional love to come home to. Pretty beautiful sentiment, and I think there is that common thread. But a lot of the songs here, and also this being your third album, it also seems to serve as kind of a time capsule, if you will, filled with music created for the moment and where you are at this point in time, captured in your lyric as well.
Exactly. And Steve, we wrote roughly 45 songs for this
Wow.
record, and we cut it down to 17. And I won't say anything specific, but we got a couple more things coming. But the 17 songs, it was really difficult to choose them. And when you mentioned kind of this album representing this era of where I'm at, like a time capsule,
Yep.
those the ones that didn't make it, I probably they may never see the light of day, which makes the decision even harder because I want to write the next album in the next era. If you know what I'm
Sure.
saying.
I do.
Uh,
Yeah, you gotta move on. So, but don't throw them away. Just put them on the shelf. Maybe
yeah,
20 years from now, you say, you know what, I want to revisit them.
they're gonna exist and they'll be in the time capsule. And if
Yeah.
they come out in the future, then they'll come out under the hopefully the understanding that this was this time, and it's just more stuff, more music for people to listen to.
There were some common threads with this, though. You worked with Jamie Kenny again, and obviously there's a comfort level there. And I don't know Jamie, but he's got an amazing background. For those of you that don't know, I mean, he's worked with everyone from Miranda Lambert to Dirk Spenley, Five for Fighting, Rozzy, all of whom have been on David Archuleta. And I think Adam Mirren also produced a couple of tracks here. But you have that comfort level. But the same token, I think he knows how to enhance what you bring to the table. This isn't a guy who's trying to shape you to be something he sees, but try to
No,
bring the best of you out in the recording.
yeah, absolutely. Jamie knows me. He knows
Yeah.
me, who I am, beneath the music, as what you were talking about before. Jamie was one of the first people I met. I actually, when I moved to Nashville, I moved into his studio, and so
Is that right?
he knows me very well, and he actually was a mentor for me, in a lot of ways outside of music. He was really
Yeah.
the only friend that I had in Nashville when I first moved.
Wow.
And I didn't know many people, and so I leaned on Jamie a lot for not just music stuff, but just difficulties I was going through, and
Yeah.
navigating the move, and the first time being that far from my family, and Jamie was just there for it all. And so that really helps in the writing room because you don't, as you said, you don't want to impose as a producer. You try not to impose who you are onto the artist. The artistry is, it's nothing if it's not unique to the artist.
Yep.
And so Jamie has done an incredible job. He'll let me try the stupidest things. I mean, I
That's all
will
right.
ask, I will ask to try some crazy melody in a pre-chorus, and he'll try it. And 60-70% of the time it's that wasn't good,
Yeah.
and then we
Is
come
that
back.
right?
But he's to give my artistic decisions to me, and
Yeah.
let me try to figure out what is right and what is wrong by trying it. And that hasn't always been the way it's been for me, with people that I've worked with. And so
Right.
I'm Jamie. It was a no-brainer for me to stay with him for this next project.
And then 60 or 70% of the time, I'm sure after you had a chance to kinda at least you had a chance to get it out of your system, you probably said, "Yeah, okay," it's not working for whatever reason, right?
Yeah, yeah. But it's better to try. I
Absolutely.
think that's what creates uniqueness. I think with the amount of collaboration that is very common in the music industry. You know, I typically write with 1 to 2 other writers. That's my preferred way of writing. And sometimes you kind of can see where a song went in a direction that was not you. And for me, those songs never see the light of day.
Yeah, that's a heck of a lot of material to work on, but it really explains why those 17 tracks that you delivered, absolutely stellar. And, I also wanted to call out the album cover art, man. That shot is really interesting. And I was wondering if you can kind of share with us kind of the theme or the concept behind it.
Yeah, so obviously we wanted to figure out a way to represent the title, Leave on a Light. And my mind initially kind of went to some sort of artistic lampshade on the cover with, I was just brainstorming at the beginning. And one of my favorite human beings on earth, his name is Benjamin Edwards, and he's from Oregon. He lives in Central Oregon.
Yeah,
And I shoot almost all of my content for music videos, for performance videos, for photo shoots, album covers, all that. I shoot those with him, and when I was conversing with him about the album cover and what we kind of think could be cool, he said, "I know a spot," and I said, "I trust you, but I want to see it."
yeah,
And he sent me some photos because he's a, a very experienced Oregonian, and
yeah.
he knows all the spots. And he sent me a couple of photo shoots he had done in that cave, and the way that singular light beam came down onto the people in the photos, I saw it, and immediately there was no other choice.
It's
That was
amazing.
it. And so we traveled. We went to Bend and we shot quite a bit, quite a bit. It was 4 or 5 days, and we were just running around in his SUV and going off into back roads and logging roads and finding all of his little spots. And I just always want to keep Oregon involved in my music because it is so much of who I am, And so
Absolutely.
that album cover, it had all that I wanted to find. As soon as I saw the location that he sent me, it was a no brainer.
Yeah, great shot for sure. Great vibe. And, for the songwriting, you interacted with a number of writers. And I've been saying, the material is absolutely stellar top to bottom. But can you describe the process for the songs on this album, in terms of, songwriting? And did you work with some new writers this go around? It seemed like you did.
Yeah, yeah. We also came back to the well,
Yeah.
to a lot of the writers that I really love and trust.
Yep.
Trent Dabbs and Ava Sepulsa, among others, come to mind. And yeah, I try to make sure that all of my music comes from my heart and who I am and what I want to say. And so we may have discussed this on our last interview, but I'll have the most eclectic notes page that you've ever seen of just random thoughts that will hit me when I'm touring, when I'm traveling, when I'm home, when I'm looking at, whenever inspiration strikes, I try to jot something down. I try to put some sort of melody into my voice memo, and that's what I take into the writing rooms. And sometimes it's a tiny bit of poetry, sometimes it's a singular word. My song off the Night Diving record, St. Helens Alpenglow,
Yep.
that song came from the word alpenglow. I thought it was so gorgeous, and what it meant was so beautiful. It was the orangish hue that the sun casts upon a mountaintop during sunset or sunrise. And so that type of thing is just what lives in my notes, and I take that into the room. Now, that being said, I wrote a lot of these songs in between 2 tours. I had about 6 weeks off, uh,
Yeah.
and I was writing 5 or 6 days a week for every week. And so towards the back half, towards the maybe final quarter of those writing sessions, I was fresh out. I had used every idea that I had stockpiled in my notes page, and so then you rely on conversation, and that's where the fit of who you're writing with is incredibly important, because conversation sparks inspiration
That's right.
constantly. I mean, if you're having a heartfelt conversation, it could be about anything, and there will be something that sticks out to all of you at once. And it's this aha moment where it's like, that's what we need to write about today. And so that's risky. I don't like to do it that way, but that ends up sometimes being what I have to do when I have written all of my stockpile out at that point, and I don't want to recreate the same song ever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to, and I also don't want to pit songs against each other. You know, I don't want to write one song about a concept for my notes page, and then because I'm out, write another one about that concept. So I have to
Right.
choose, you know,
Right.
that doesn't sit right with me. And so, sadly, you know, quite a few of the songs that didn't make it were those songs towards the very end, because I was burnt out, I was tired, but that also got us some beautiful songs as well, and they're on the record as well.
I love you sharing that for sure. I also love the fact that Brock McNown has shown up, and he's saying he's proud to be Max's brother. I guess Brock is looking for some attention or wants the spotlight, so we're
Maybe.
gonna give it to him. He says, "Thanks for all the love and support you show him. Feel free to reach out here." Brock, you know, has absolutely been an inspiration. We're gonna talk about him in a minute, but first, I want to remind everybody, you know, we don't charge cover charges to get this kind of amazing insight that you get from Max and other artists. But tonight we're celebrating the forthcoming new release from one Max McNown. And again, it's astounding to think about his meteoric rise from playing on a local pier to learning his craft to now being a major crossover country Americana star. And we're celebrating that third studio album, again entitled Leave on a Light. It features an incredible 17 great tracks. We're not a streaming service from the standpoint of, yes, we are as far as viewing, but not in terms of offering you this brilliant work that Max has delivered. This is a physical album, both on vinyl and CD. His third album, as I said, and the bar was set really high for the first two, but I can state with total confidence the man has further raised the bar, delivered absolutely his best album to date. There is great hope for the future of music thanks to Max. And I want to let you know that it's available both on brown double vinyl, which is really cool, also on CD, and officially releases Friday, September 25th. However, you fans on Talk Shop Live can purchase your copies right here, right now. And it's Max's way of thanking you, fine fans. Not only going to get this great body of work, these recordings, but he was gracious enough to agree to sign a limited number of CD copies. I can tell you they're halfway gone. Once they're gone, that's it. I'm not sure Max will ever return my calls again after torturing him for a second time on this show. So you better take advantage of it for sure. And I kid Max, of course. To order your copies, hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live on socials, Facebook and Instagram. Comment shop, and we'll DM you a link. And if you're watching on YouTube, click on the YouTube link in the description. The rest is quick and easy. And there's no greater way to show how much you appreciate Max's fantastic artistry than by owning a copy of the upcoming release, Leave on a Light. There's so much love in the house with the fans, and I'll get to it in a second. But full disclosure here, Max, I reached out to your day-to-day manager, and you know, I said, would it be possible to connect me with Max's father? And she, in fact, did. I felt bad because he was on a weekend fishing excursion. I told him it would be 5-10 minute call, but it was closer to 35 minutes. So he might be billing me for it, which is totally understandable. But I enjoyed every minute. And, you know, I'm not sure how he felt about it, but I kid Jeff, and it was absolutely great. But the thing was, is I was also introduced to your father-in-law, Tommy. So it was like a 2-for-1, Max. You know, they were.
What is going on? My power just went out, and I had to relocate. And I just heard you say that you called my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me repeat myself. So
How in the world did that happen?
So I reached. I don't want to get somebody fired in the entourage, but I reached out to somebody in the Max McNown working family, and I said, "Do you think you could connect me with his dad? Because I want to thank him for the kind words he said about our first show together, but also wanted to get some insight from him because you guys are have such a fascinating story." And so he said, "Yeah, I normally don't do interviews, and but I said this was." Yeah, off, you know, kind of off the record. Of course, I'm going to share every word he said
I love
tonight.
it.
But
I love
yeah,
this.
but I'll tell you what. So he introduced me to Tommy, your father-in-law,
Mhm.
uh, and I mentioned to both of them that I come from Chicago. When you hear that a father and a father-in-law go on a fishing trip, Max, typically one doesn't come back from that trip. Just saying, you know.
Oh, no,
But
they seem like they were meant to be best friends, and I cannot express how happy my heart is seeing the photos. It's so cool.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I love that because my dad is the person that I definitely get all of my songwriting instinct from. My dad, he gave a speech at my wedding, and Jamie Kinney was standing near me at the time when he was giving the speech. And
Yeah.
my dad gives this beautiful speech full of symbolism and poetry, and it was just incredible. I was crying my eyes out. And Jamie turns to me when the speech was over, and he goes, "I see where you get it now."
Yeah.
And truly, my dad has raised me with he has an ability to take some of the most difficult things that we go through in life and turn them into an analogy that anybody can understand, and it immediately makes you feel better. And that was something that I just grew up with, and I don't think I talk about that enough. So the fact that you brought that up and the fact that you called him, he's the source. He's the source of when people are wondering, Max, you started writing music at 21. Really? Really?
Yeah.
Like people constantly are questioning that. And really it was just being raised by my dad that
Yeah.
gave me that type of thinking.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was really impressed, and when I said I said, "Just give me 5 or 10 minutes," and, it turned into, like, 35 or 36 minutes, but who's counting? I was. I'll tell you what, I mean, I was captivated, but, again, just a fascinating story, ups and downs, but you could tell how passionate, how proud he is, of what you've accomplished, Brock, and your other, siblings for that matter too. He gave me some homework. I'll be reading the famous, 1890 book, Acres of Diamonds, written by Russell Conwell, for example,
He
and,
loves his
but
history. He
yeah,
loves his history.
absolutely, but it speaks to, I think, the theme of, kind of the family values and, the inspiration on some of the messages contained in this album, whether it's coincidental or not. But, as we were talking about it, from the book, the message, success, fortune, and greatness doesn't require a distant search, but they're found by developing the resources and the talents and opportunities that you have in your own backyard, your own community, which is kind of what you're talking about. And he also talked about, the struggles that you guys had as a family with brother Brock, and a lot of fans know this, but when he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's and the 5-year-long battle, and well, he ended up providing a needed spark, when it was all said and done. But especially impressed with the story about how you were kind of hitting the road, and he had to come up with something to give you or whatever, and it was almost like a spur of the moment decision on a guitar. And I had to ask him, were you like hoping, okay, maybe he'll do something with it and build a career? And the answer was it never really crossed his mind, but he does seem really proud of the fact that you still use a guitar strap on tour.
I do. I do. I will never use a different guitar strap until that guitar strap breaks because that is what I used to wear pretending I was playing guitar when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep that on stage at every show I possibly can. Um, and yeah, I mean, you covered so much, so I'm trying to figure out where to come in here. But Brock was the reason that I wrote my first song. Things were very difficult in the household, and it kind of seemed like there wasn't necessarily a light at the end of the tunnel. It started feeling a little bit hopeless, and Freezing in November is one of the only songs in my discography that I can't say confidently that it has an underlying hope and optimism because that's not where I was. We talk about songs and projects being eras of life. Freezing in November, I felt pretty hopeless, and I didn't like who I was at the time and the decisions I was making.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for needing something to turn to, needing an outlet, then I would have never gotten into music. And I've also never heard my dad's commentary on his side of the guitar gift. So I'm learning all types of stuff right now.
It was like an epiphany, kind of like on a spur of the moment, he told me, which, but how ironic. I mean, because to me, it feels like that was one moment in time that had that not happened, who knows if we'd be here sitting here talking about your 3rd album, let alone a 1st album.
There have been so many moments like that, so many
Yeah.
little things that just redirected my path. And I'm a person of faith, and I feel like that's where I see the creator personally is in the tiny, just seemingly impossible coincidences. As my grandpa said, and I think my dad also told me this, so I got to give him credit as well. But
Yeah.
providence is the hand of God in the glove of circumstances. And so that's kind of where I see it. I see it happening where you place yourself, and you may not know where it's all going to go. Nobody knows God's plan, but you try to place yourself in where you need to be and be who you are as authentically as possible. And for me, it's been incredible to watch how, even when I'm not intending, I write songs for myself. Like I truly do. And I started this career writing music to dissect how I'm feeling and what I'm going through and try to make sense of it. And whether that's a sadness that I don't understand, or a happiness that I'm experiencing that I've never felt or don't understand, I've turned to music as a listener and a writer for my whole life. And it's just,
Yep.
yeah, it's been amazing to watch all that has happened from just trying my best every day, I guess.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And I just walked away from it thinking, and it was Pastor Dale that you're referring to, right? That's on your mother's side.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And your mother or father, props to Heather, right? I think is your
Yep.
mother's name. And one of the, or the two of them need to get together and write a book. I mean, between your Uncle Cade, I'm a Chicago Bear fan, I'm a football fan, so we have that going on. Pastor Dale, Brandon,
Yeah.
who's your uncle, and is responsible, for helping to commandeer the label side of things. I mean, what Brock went through, what the whole family went through, your whole story, yeah, it's more than one volume, I think, of,
It's gotta
a
be at
book.
least a couple Netflix documentaries, at
Yeah,
least.
100%. Yeah, absolutely right, for sure.
Steve,
Listen,
I
yeah,
thought you did your research last time.
yeah.
I am so joyfully caught off guard right now. I love it. So you keep going. What's next?
Thank you, Max. Well, one thing I did want to say, because I do want to get into the album, and I appreciate I wore the first show like a badge of honor with your comments and your father's comments and the fans too. But I love the position that you take in, which sometimes can be challenging, and that's with tickets and how tickets to your concerts are handled. And I had on just recently the lead guitarist Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. They stuck their necks out some years ago and took a position on ticket sales because they wanted to protect the integrity of the price and not have those tickets scalped. It's just a term that we use, the old school term, and resold at such a high premium unfairly to fans for just a handful of businesses or people to profit from it. And kudos to you for putting in provisions on the current dates, that ticket buyers can resell their tickets if they can't make it, but only at face value. I mean, that's absolutely amazing, and you deserve props for that.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, the ticket thing is just, it made me so angry and frustrated when I would watch my shows, especially on my first tour before we were just learning how this all works. And on our first tour, we were just putting up shows and hoping tickets sold. We had no idea it was my first tour ever. So we had no idea how many people would come, what it would look like. And suddenly we're putting up shows, and some of them were authentically selling out, but then some of them, we put up a New York show. I think it was
Yeah.
initially at the Bowery Ballroom, but it ended up being moved. Mr. Paul McCartney actually bumped me off of that one.
Oh,
All respect,
outrageous. I'll make a
all
call
respect.
to Paul. I'll give
Yeah,
him a
yeah.
yeah, an
But
earful.
that New York show at the Bowery, we woke up the next morning and it was sold out. And I went, I, how is that possible?
Yeah,
Because it was one of the biggest shows of that first headline run.
yeah.
And then I started to get messages and comments of people frustrated with me for selling my tickets for $600. I was so confused, because we put them up for 37.50, I think, at the time.
Wow.
We
Wow.
basically try to. I can say this as honestly as possible. I'm not sure if it'll come across that way, but I'm truly not in this for money. I try to price all my tickets at the almost the minimum that I can without, you know, making it a big loss for us.
Yeah.
And so typically, like even now, playing some amphitheaters and typically, 2 to 3,000 capacity, we try to keep it around $40. We try to keep it
That's amazing.
cover the fees. And what was happening was a bunch of I'm gonna be
Uh,
respectful here and not say what I want to
I
say,
did
but
say the only rules are your rules, but I
yeah,
yeah, respect your
I have
restraint.
I have a few choice words for the people that run the operation of buying every
Yeah.
single ticket to a show
Yeah.
and taking in, and also the ticketing websites in a
Yeah.
way
Yep.
for not it doesn't
They
it
foster
wastes
that atmosphere, that opportunity,
it wastes money.
unfortunately.
It
Yeah.
wastes money and it goes into the wrong hands, and it goes
Yeah.
into hands that have nothing to do with the music. And uh, I watched people buying these $400 and $500 tickets, and then I come to shows, and those scalpers couldn't sell off their final 15%. So then
Yeah.
we have a room that said it was sold out that actually
Yeah.
has a 15 to 20% drop rate. And I hated to see that. And so what we did was we set a limit, and we just said, hey, this might, I've had a few comments of big families, of,
Yep.
five or six people, like, I have a 7-person family, and
Right.
with a 4 ticket capacity, it is a double-edged sword, because there are also some people that are sad that they're trying to figure out now how to use a different email or whatever different account to try to just get their family into a show. And so
Y
you have to make sacrifices on both sides.
You
But
do.
what we did was we stopped. You can't fully stop it, but we're doing everything we can to stop those scalpers from winning.
Uh,
And that's what's really important to me.
well, fans need to know that I had to call that out for sure, and you're to be commended, for doing that for sure. And, again, so many fans out there. I do want to, call out some of them. We've got, Shay Wagner, who purchased a copy of, Leave on a Light. You're gonna
Oh, thank you, Shay.
absolutely. Yeah, we got Amber, Winslow as well, Mindy Lee, who just purchased a copy, and Joy, Rasiska, sorry, Joy, also, Connie Gloser and Jennifer Maloney, Diane Smith, Donna Elm, Nancy Norville, all purchased, copies of the new album that's coming out, Leave on a Light, within the last few minutes. Kelsey, Tennyson as well, Kathy Pratt, thank you, Kathy, and Cheryl Eadid, I think is how that name goes. And I'm sorry if I butchered it. There's no phonetic spelling, which people like me need that. That's on me for sure. And again, I want to remind you to purchase this great new album, 17 great new tracks. This album will be available officially September 25th, but you can purchase it right here, right now. It's available both on brown double vinyl, which is really cool, and also on CD. And the man, the myth, the legend. Yes, he actually does qualify, I think, at this point of being a legend for all of his accomplishments. And as I said, wise beyond his years the first time around. I mean, it just blows my mind every time we have a chance to talk about his career. But Max has agreed to sign copies, a limited number of copies of CD. They will be sold out, I assure you. But scalpers hopefully won't be reselling them. We're going to try to control it. Just hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live. If you're on socials, Facebook and Instagram, Comment Shop will DM you a link. On YouTube, click the link in the description. The rest is quick and easy. Man, I'm going to barrel through some of the songs, but Slow Down, Slow Down. I don't know if it was subtitled Overdose at
Yeah,
one
yeah.
point. Is that right?
I would love to talk about that real quick. Actually,
Yeah.
Scott Harris just joined my Instagram live, and
Yeah.
Scott Harris was someone who wrote one of my favorite songs on the record, "Same Sun." It really channeled the Northwestern Oregon folky nature that I really want to start bringing more prominently into my music. And Scott is just one of the most incredible writers I've ever worked with. So I wanted to give him a shout out since I just saw that he joined.
Absolutely.
Incredibly talented guy. So slow down, slow down. Do you have a question that you want to start with, or
Well,
do
I
you want
just
me to
want to
just?
say, it's a great opening track, really soulful, rhythmic vocal. I mean, I would love to hear the vocal a cappella kind of stripped out. It just has a great vibe. Chorus has great hooks, and I love the breaks throughout. And there was a note here that said the album leans into kind of distinctive production styles, serving as a reminder to pace oneself amid a chaotic lifestyle. So really, again, is consistent with most of the tracks here. Great musically, instrumentally, killer vocals, but also a pretty powerful message.
Yeah, thank you. So Slow Down is one of those songs that we tried to make the production and the instrumentation match the lyricism.
Yeah,
And that's really difficult to do. I can't say that I've done that to the extent I want to on every single song. It's very challenging. And Slow Down was a song that I was on the way to. So this is an example of one of those songs where I was out of ideas at this point.
yeah,
And I had something come to me. I was in a Panera
yeah.
getting some coffee before the writing session. And I
Because
went to
you're sick of Starbucks. Sorry, I had to interrupt. Right, that's all. I just want to say
uh,
that. Sorry, I
Starbucks
couldn't help
has a
myself.
special place in my heart, but I like to test the waters. But no,
Yes,
I swung into Panera, and over the speaker there was a very unique song, and I wish I tried to Shazam it. I tried to figure out what it was, but my phone wasn't picking it up.
yeah,
And I heard some, and it was the way that they would take uh, intentional breaks in between the lyrics, where it was almost like a pregnant pause where it's meant to serve a purpose. And so I had this thought as I'm literally burning out mentally and physically, just writing a lot. I just got off tour and I went into, nonstop writes, and then I'm back on tour right after. And so
right.
I'm in this moment where all I want to do is be home with my wife and my dog, and I just want to slow down for a second. Like
Yeah,
that was the mindset that I was in on that morning. And so what happened was I heard that break, just as simple as that melodic break.
yeah,
And I had the concept that I ended up bringing into the room, which was a very rapid pre-chorus meant to feel almost stressful and fast moving, because that's what my life was feeling like. And then I wanted
right.
the chorus to represent slowing down. And so it goes, when the people hear this song, they'll understand what I'm talking about. But the
100%.
pre-chorus is fast moving. It's almost bordering on rappy,
Yeah,
and when it breaks, it goes into, can we slow down? And so that break right there, where it's this release, it's all this tension building up, building up, building up, and then it releases. And that is how I feel when I'm home with my wife. It's like I'm in go mode all the time. I'm playing shows and I love what I do. But
of
when you've
course.
played 250 shows in 2 years, it can be trying on your body mentally and physically. And so it was that day. It was on that day. I was just in this mode where I was just looking forward to being with my dog and my wife. And that is where it initially came from. And the title, I would love to go to the title, because you mentioned that it was called Overdose, and then in parentheses, Slow Down.
Right.
And that was the title that we gave it on the day of the write. And the reason I named it that initially is because it was almost like I wanted so much of home time that I knew it could be too much. There has to
Yeah,
be a balance. But what
yeah,
I wanted is that, so overdose as a term has a very negative connotation, and it's very sensitive to a lot of people. And
that's
so
right.
ultimately that was why the title, I didn't want people to relate the entire song to a single word in the song.
Yeah,
But I stand by the lyric in the chorus, because I wanted a surplus of home time, of love with my wife, with time at home. I wanted to fully just shut off. And so that's where that lyricism comes from. But as far as the title goes, it was actually just a couple weeks ago. I was just getting real anxious almost every night, just about people that have experienced a true, overdose in the drug terminology, because an overdose is
right.
an overconsumption of anything. It doesn't
That's right.
necessarily mean death. It doesn't mean drugs. It's just there's, you look up Merriam-Webster, you can figure out the definition. And so
Right.
I was leaning on the definition that I was thinking when I was writing the song. And for just several nights, it was about 4 nights in a row that I had this overwhelming just pit in my stomach, and I didn't want to trigger anybody and remind people of something that difficult, because that word is probably more recognized as the drug reference. And so I just wanted to rename it to be kind to people that are potentially sensitive to something like that. So that's why it's now slow down, slow down. But that's obviously
Yeah.
Street Week track. That is one that I'm extremely excited about, and equally really nervous about, because I don't know if you'd agree with me, but that kind of seems like one of the most unique
Yeah.
song
A
of my
little bit outside of the lane that we're used to you being in.
Yep. Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
all in a good way. That's why I said, I mean, the vocal is stellar. It's this rhythmic quality. I'd pay good money just to hear the instrumentation stripped out, and there's some other tracks like that too, where
A couple.
the lyrics and the rhythm, I mean, it's just pretty amazing unto
Thank
itself. I'll tell you what else is amazing, Max. GABA 373 is saying hello from Southwest Airlines. Do you fly Southwest a lot?
I do every once in a while.
Okay,
Uh,
Gaba, come
yeah,
back and see if you can, maybe score max, status on the airline. I'm not sure why you're
yeah,
saying hello from
or or
Southwest,
or
but
at
thank you.
least just make an exception for me and bring me 1 water every 20 minutes for my
Uh,
entire flight.
there you
That's
go.
all
There's
I
your
ask.
mission,
That's all
should
I
you accept it.
ask.
I love that. Let's play a little bit of music, while
Yeah,
we still have a little time. You okay with that?
yeah, absolutely.
Love this track. Again, from Leave on a Light, the forthcoming new album, this brilliant album from Max. It's entitled Firstborn Daughter. And Sam, if you would, please roll the digital.
Top A to a T does wonders for my scattered brain, and it's such a relief when I'm fine, means I'm fine, and it ain't just a mind game. You're hard on yourself, only see imperfections, darling, even mirrors can lie. So look in my eyes, let me change your perspective, show you every reason why. I fell in love with the firstborn daughter, fresh taste of watermelon in the summer. 'Cause she loves speaking her mind, puts her love on the line. No, she ain't the kind to make me wonder about how my life would look without her. Once I found her, won't let her go. Oh, some might say I'm a lamb to the slaughter, but I fell hard for a firstborn daughter.
Max, there's a reason why I don't give out my home address. That's because fans get irate. They're just sending me, these really upset messages saying, "How could you cut off such a great track?" And I agree with them, but that's kind of how we roll here. You want to hear the other half of it. It's my job to remind you, you got to buy the album. And trust me, the second half of this is just as amazing as the first. What a great track. And again, there's so many here, but I have to tell you, a number of the tracks here, I refer to them as like instant timeless classics. Great production. You got this old school soul singing approach, which is fantastic. The chorus is so infectious, absolutely undeniable. And the making of a great song is that you feel like you've heard it somewhere before, but there's no plagiarism. It doesn't sound exactly like a song. It feels warm and familiar, and it draws you in. And this is one great example of that. Just an absolutely great track.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very important to me. I think that a lot of artists kind of, and I felt the pull, especially in my early career. A lot of artists either look around them at
Yeah.
what other artists are doing and try to not just be inspired by them, but try to emulate that music. And oftentimes it also looks like, having one song hit and then trying to replicate that. And so hopefully when you listen to this album, you don't get bored, because all the songs are meant to sound different. They're meant to be their own living and breathing thing, and with a through line thematically that connects them. And Firstborn Daughter, it's funny that you mentioned the word timeless, because Firstborn Daughter, we did something on the production side that we've never done before, and it's something that I love to talk about. So you probably know about this, but do you know the phrase "sweetening the audio"?
Absolutely. Yep.
So do you want to explain, because you probably have a better understanding of what that was, sweetening the audio with back when it was basically tape,
Yeah.
and you would cut and you would basically speed up the song by 1 BPM, right?
Yeah. Just right. Just yeah. Just a
And it just
minuscule amount.
yes, and it just made the instrumentation and the vocal, and it just made it lock, right? And that's not a super common thing these days, but a lot of especially rock bands of I think probably 60s, 70s,
Yeah. You're
probably
exactly
did
right.
it more often. Yeah,
It,
so that song had this feel to it, like it was a song from a long time ago.
totally.
It gave that
But it
feeling.
doesn't sound dated. Like it still
Yeah,
sounds
yeah, I
pretty
appreciate
decent.
that. There was something about it, and something about me is I will never claim to be knowledgeable when it comes to music theory. I don't know. I do most everything by gut feel in this career. And when I heard that, and I was talking with Jamie, it was where I heard about sweetening the audio. He explained to me what it was long
Yeah.
before we ever thought about using it. And there was just one day where he went, I was talking with the mixer, and it was just a conversation we were having. And he mentioned, would you want to try this on this song? It feels like a song from back then. What if we
How
kind of leaned in?
perceptive. What a
What
kind
if
of a
we leaned in?
visionary. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it was new to me. It was something that I'd never done
Yeah.
before.
I,
And it was incredible because we sped it up by 1 BPM. And
yeah.
we used, and that's all we really did. And it just locked everything together.
It,
And the
yeah.
initial mix felt as though it was still wonderful, and it had a low end to it that is very on brand with my vocal. I have a very wide and warm vocal naturally.
For
And
sure.
so it had that low end and that mid range heaviness that I enjoy in my vocals for most songs. But this song felt like it wanted to float. It felt like it
Yeah.
wanted to dance and groove with the rhythm. And so we sped it up by 1 BPM, and that mix, just everything just went,
Yeah.
and it
I,
just locked right in, and it felt like a different song. And immediately we
yeah.
were like, okay, we're doing it.
I love that you shared that. I also love the fact that you got me off the hook in trying to explain sweetening. But I will say that back in the 60s and 70s, there were some guys behind the board that probably should not have had access to knives, let alone take the chance of splicing tape, because you only get one shot at it. If you don't get it right, it's like, oh well. But it's the kind of thing where it's like, okay, do you speed it up a little bit, in terms of the tempo, or do you change the key? And that doesn't get done what was accomplished here with this particular track. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that I
uh,
mean, it's a different way
yeah,
now obviously than when it was tape. But yeah, we ran it
yeah,
through, we set it up, and yeah, it locked.
yeah. It's
And as far as lyrical, context of that song, it's very similar. I compare it to Better Me For You, Brown Eyes a lot, because it's a song that I wrote so specifically about traits of my wife. And I had no anticipation of it doing what it's doing right now. It is kind of becoming almost the changing of the guard with this next era of music. And it's just so funny to me when because I can talk and talk about writing music about my life and writing music for myself and my family and all that, But to see a song like this actually do what it's doing, that is so specifically about my wife, it just brings me so much joy. It's so cool to see it reach all. And something else my dad said actually is when you release a song, you're giving it to your fans. Now,
right.
what it means to them is the truth. That is what the song is to them. And
That's right.
so my dad told me that very early in my career. And now I'm seeing it with Firstborn Daughter. I wrote it about one person, and I am watching so many comments and messages and people that are now feeling seen, that felt like there wasn't a song that represented who they were. And that is just,
Exactly.
it's unbelievable. It's the power
It,
of music. It
it
is
is the
unbelievable.
power of music. It's the magic of a great song. It really is.
Thank
You do have a problem though, Max. I just want to share with you. 'Cause time is blowing by here, but there's 5 siblings in the family. You chose to write a song just for one, Sela, which is a beautiful song, and I know she's very special to you. You guys have an amazing relationship. It's a fun, jangly pop track, feel good track. I think this is another one, just like the last track, that'll put a smile on fans' faces. Kudos to you, but apparently you're going to have to do some more writing to make up for the rest of the family. Otherwise, Thanksgiving's going to be kind of rough. You know?
I know. That song specifically, Brock has a couple songs, but
Yeah,
I need
right.
to
To be fair.
get JJ and Rowan some songs.
Yeah, the other two. Let's not leave them out. But there's plenty of time.
Mhm.
I want to slide in one more here. Again, here's another track from Max's forthcoming new album, Leave on a Light. And I want to remind everybody, hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live. You can enter or comment the word shop if you're on Facebook or Instagram. And if you're watching on YouTube, just click the link in the description. It's available on double brown vinyl, which is really cool. And also on CD. And Max has graciously agreed to sign a limited number of copies of the CD. They're selling incredibly quickly. So once they're gone, they're gone. We have this understanding. There's like a cease and desist. I can't talk to Max for another 2 years after putting him through all this. So
My
take
hand's
advantage
going
of
to be cramping. My hand's going to be cramping bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to sign everyone. I promise you. I
You're
promise you I'm
good.
going to sign everyone.
You're a good man. Here's another great track. This one is entitled World Change Me. Sam, if you're still out there, please roll the digital for us.
The monsters all fled from under my bed. Now they're downtown walking the streets. Idle in my hand, Bible in the nightstand, where the devil lives in the black screen. It's easy to fold, to fall, to throw your hands up and join them all. Hard to be alive, hard to be alone, hard to keep fighting in a world that ain't home. Trying to stay kind, trying to find hope. All the lost children tell you how to act, go. Drink up all the poison in your cup. The chains make you think you're free. Maybe I can change the ways of this world, but I won't let the world change me. Money and sex, will of the flesh, tell a man they can do no harm. Pull him in close, let him think he's in control. That's how they put a hole in his heart. It's easy to fold, to fall, to throw your hands up and join them all. I wake up in a sweat to the devil and his friends saying good luck getting through the dark. It's hard to be alive, hard to be alone, hard to keep fighting in a world that ain't home. Trying to stay kind, trying to find hope. All the lost children tell you how to act, grow. Drink up all the poison in your cup. Chains make you think you're free. Maybe I can change the ways of this world, but I won't let the world change me.
Love that track. This is another great example, man, kind of pivoting in a little bit of a different flavor. And sequencing, which is the position songs are in on an album, are really important. This is great great positioning. Another anthem in my book for sure. But again, it's the sweeping melody line in the chorus. I always refer to sometimes songwriters can get lazy, and it's almost like this natural progression of where a melody line goes in terms of chords. And it feels like with some of the material, like this song, that you take the melody line to kind of a little bit of a different level where you could kind of just go towards a natural progression, and you take it in a little bit of a different direction, and makes it that much more unique and special, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, the contrast was a very intentional decision, and that was written with some absolutely wonderful human beings, some of my favorite writers. They're one of the, when I refer to the well that I like to go
Yeah.
back to,
Yeah.
these two, Adam Euron and Mags Duval.
Mags. Yeah.
They're just and they're just wonderful people, and they're so fun to hang out with, and that really helps in a write as well. So I would love, so the contrast between that chorus, the verse feels almost like night diving a little bit. It feels like
Yeah.
swampy and very
Definitely.
gritty, and I wanted to kind of throw a bit of a curveball, and I don't, I know that there was a specific reason at the time, but that song was written quite a long time ago now. And when we just wanted it to be, like I was saying before, we wanted it to stand out. We wanted it to be unique. And so when you expect it to go a certain way and it takes this turn, it usually is very engaging. And it,
Yep.
in my opinion, it makes you focus in on what I am saying, because you can't attach to a monotonous flow. You, when it shifts, you go, oh, this is weird, and then you hear exactly what I'm saying. And that is so important to me when it comes to lyrics. All of my songs are poetry first, lyrics first. Like, that is how I write my music. Now, a funny story about that song is it was written, we started writing it around 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And Mags and Adam, we rented a studio in Nashville. And the song, it's so weird because the song that was written mere minutes really before we started writing World Change Me was actually done for.
Wow.
Which those are two very different songs in most
Yeah.
ways, but
Yeah.
they both also have the thematic through line of resisting the pull to become something that you are not.
Right.
When I, done for, the first line is, they say you're only young once, you don't want forever, boy, you better sleep around while you can. And I wrote that because I was getting so much pressure from people far from me and close to me, kind of questioning my decision and saying, kind of, look at your life. Are you sure you don't want to experiment and try other things before you know for sure, or whatever? And it's, the decision I made is not necessarily the correct way to go. It's not, everybody's different. So I'm not saying that I was, throwing the middle finger up and being like, this is the right way, but it was my way that I chose.
Yeah.
And it meant a lot to me. It's the rest of my life that I'm betting on when I get married at
That's
this
right.
age. And so when people were, that pressure was coming, I wanted to write a song that basically counteracts that pressure. And
Yep.
World Change Me is the same story. You play enough shows, you see how much pressure and temptation there is, not just in this world, but specifically in a touring artist's
A
career. And
absolutely.
I wanted to write a song that says, hey, I know that you've seen the tale 1,000 times of the nice artist that is kind of just grinding and doing his best until he gets big, and then he becomes someone completely different.
Yeah.
And that is the last thing that I want to do. And World Change Me is just a testament to that.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's people will resonate for sure, and and there's I feel terrible, Max, because it feels like this should have been, we should have allocated about 3 hours, but I didn't want to push it. 1 hour is kind of like it feels like the threshold. But man, we're
Steve,
just
if you want to keep going, you're welcome to. I love this stuff. So
thank
you
you,
just,
brother. We'll we'll
yeah,
we'll go through a couple more for sure.
yeah.
But thank you. And who knows? Maybe we can get you to come back before the release or something. I know you got a really busy schedule, but I'll tell you what. There are a couple of tracks that really call out. Famous to Use, another one. The hooks, Simply Don't Let Up. I love the dynamics. We'll play this on the outro. Again, with your vocal approach, there's weaving with the melody lines that connect, while sounding unique and fresh. Another great example of great songwriting, when you come up with a melody line, again, where you can kind of get lazy and just go through where normal progression makes sense. You're pushing it, and in a way that makes the song sound unique, yet it still resonates, and it's still what I call a hook. And this song in particular, I think, was it kind of speaks again to that zoom out from the whirlwind of your music career, and again, reinforcing highest goals, and that's building a legacy with your family and remembering what's most important first and foremost.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's another song that fits in with the theme of the album. Just a thank you. That one is specifically to my wife and the
Yeah,
family that I want to have, and the family that I do have, back home. And it is as you said, it's a zoom out. And I think when we talk about this, is kind of where I'm going to try my best to pull all of this full circle. But when we talk about the theme being thank yous to the people that protect who I am beneath the music, this is one of those songs. And
yeah.
oh, hang on, I'm completely losing my train of thought.
It,
Um,
it's a, I'm the guy. I'm the older guy. That happens to
I
me
know,
more than you.
I
Trust
know
me.
what's happening. I just got too much. I'm
It,
overloaded. I'm
it,
overloaded mentally.
it, it might have had something to do with the power. Which, by the way, I think we are going to start a GoFundMe because Max is selling his tickets too cheaply, and his people, his handler, did not take care of the electrical bill. The power goes out in the middle of the show. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you check out GoFundMe, and we'll kind of fix that for next time.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I need
Yeah.
an
So,
electrician or something out here. That
yeah,
was stressful. When it went down, I was like, "Okay, I need to
yeah.
sprint to
Well,
somewhere because it's in
again,
the middle."
it shows you the guy you are. Most stars would have said, "Okay, well, I guess that's just destiny. Show's over."
No,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, man, I'm trying my
Brother, don't
hardest to.
no worries about it. Let's pivot to,
Yeah.
comments, because that's
Mhm.
another one. Man, just a monster anthemic track. This is another one, for the ages. It's just an absolute standout. She said, "The rain's coming down, the clouds are here to stay, the power's gone out." Oh, who knew? Uh,
Too
so
soon,
we got
Steve, too soon.
too soon, exactly right, sorry, I couldn't help myself, that was low-hanging fruit, so we gotta get away, the dogs are getting restless, binged all the TV, and if we don't hit the gas, we might never leave. I could name a million other places I'd rather be. She said, "Let's go, feel the heat of the road, let the tail light glow. Yeah, we can run away until we find some space under the Northwest skies." You notice I didn't say Southwest Airlines. "Chase the Northern Star up to the Northern Lights, and we'll be dancing with the comets as they're putting on their show." Really cool lyric, great, just a brilliant track, standout.
Thank you. Yeah, so I do have this thought of where that track came from. I
Oh,
have
good.
a one of my best friends. His name is Richie, and he told me a story. I was very lost when I was, 18 through, 21 was when I started to kind of figure things out a little bit. I was really lost, and I did not know where my life was going. I didn't know who I was going to be, what I was going to do. And Richie told me this story of something his father told him, I believe. He talked about someday, we're all going to reach our end. That's life. And he told me this story of somebody reaching the end of their life and finding themselves on their deathbed
Yeah.
and looking around and seeing the spirits or the ghosts of all of the versions of them that they could have been, and all of the versions of them that chased the things that they dreamed of chasing.
Wow.
And the goal of life, Richie told me, is to recognize one of those people. And at that time, that blew me back. And it seems completely disconnected from the song, but the song is just about being stuck in the constant cycle that life will get you into and wanting so badly to break out, but not doing it. And so using, my wife as the spark in this song, as I do many times in my songs,
Yeah.
just saying, do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
That you have to just go for it. Otherwise you will never know what you could have been, what you could have done, what you could have seen, the experiences
That's
that you
right.
could have had. And so Comets is a song about chasing what you want to chase and making the decision to change what you are doing when you are feeling lost and lonely and hurting, and it seems like on the surface it's not that heavy of a track, but that was the initial inspiration for it, and I wanted it to be palatable. I wanted it to feel like a good old-fashioned adventure song.
Yeah.
But the initial spark was that story that Richie told me, and just realizing that everybody can get so stuck in I believe it was, gosh, I learned about something in high school called samsara, I think, but I'm not even going to try to quote that. Anyway,
Yeah.
the cycle of life, the rat race, whatever you want to call it. Everybody
Right.
gets stuck in it, and that song is meant to serve as inspiration to break free from that.
Really appreciate you sharing. That's pretty amazing. Great. Really insightful. And again, I want to remind everybody we're celebrating this incredibly powerful new album. Max has taken this to a whole nother level. Of course, referring to Max McNown, and it's his third studio album. Incredible uh, litany of music. 17 songs, which, by the way, it's pretty bold to put 17 tracks on there, but top to bottom, they all deliver. And the bar was set high for the first two. Speaks a lot for the man. And here he is, man. He keeps delivering, and it's available both on brown double vinyl, also on CD. It comes out September 25th, but you can purchase it right here, right now on Talk Shop Live. Hit the shop button on Talk Shop Live. And if you're watching on Instagram or Facebook, all you have to do is comment the word shop. We'll DM you a link. Click that. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the link in the description. Available, as I said, on vinyl and CD. The CD is signed, but it's very limited. Once they're gone, they're gone. So I strongly suggest, if you really want it, and I'll tell you what's an heirloom. You keep coming back to the music no matter what. But signed by the man, the myth, the legend, known as Max McNown. And Max, before we let you go, thanks for the overtime first and foremost. But I want to thank all the fans, man. You got thousands of them that showed up this evening. Again, it just speaks volumes to the impact that you've had, and the story of your career, which is still just getting going. It's pretty mind blowing.
Thank you. Yeah, it was incredible to just when you were listing the names early on in the interview to see how many people just went from this live and just purchased the autograph vinyl or CD or whatever they chose. It's mind blowing, man. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to feel like I deserve the life that I've been given, but it is truly incredible. And you were so kind and well spoken, and I would love to do this again. Thank you so much for having me.
Be my honor to do that. I'll hold you to that, my friend. Because I feel like there's so much more to cover on this album, and it's such an important album. If time permits, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you say yes, this is being recorded, and it does kind of hold you to it.
I said it. I said
Uh,
it.
you
I
did.
stand by it.
Yeah.
I mean what I
Once
say.
is enough. Once is enough. Yeah. It's like what somebody taught me, when you close a deal, stop talking, move on. That's what somebody said. And you've got a lot of dates coming up, heavy touring in Canada. We love the Canadians. Festival appearances like Bourbon and Beyond, I think in Louisville, Kentucky, in October. You're doing some cool sets at Austin City Limits Music Festival, and you're doing some dates in California, I think in Portland, Oregon, in December, if I'm not mistaken, if that sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I think so. I think you're asking the wrong guy. I know
it,
what I'm doing tomorrow, and that's about
it's
it. And
okay.
also, real quick, just to warn you, my
Yes.
father-in-law, he might be upset with you right now because you said Louisville, and he's from Louisville, and that's how they say
Louisville,
it over there.
Louisville.
You got to be careful. Those
I,
those Louisville folks will come after you.
oh,
I learned that
I
the
hate when
hard
it
way
happens.
as soon as I wanted to court SK.
I hate when it happens. I forgot to put the marbles in the mouth to get get it right. I'm from Chicago, so I struggle with that accent. So forgive me, my good friend. And I also want to thank Katie Beer for continuing to take my calls even over the weekend. Thank you, Katie. You've been great. Big thanks to Tyson Paletti as well, who also was really helpful, and to Anna, Chris, Claudio, and Ashley, Brandon, of course, the Brandon from Fugitive, and the man who had the vision for Tooth and Nail behind the label that Max is on. Hats off and much appreciation to the one and only Jeff McNown for allowing me to take advantage of what was supposed to be a 5 to 10 minute conversation. And also Jake Anderson, thank you from the Orchard to our fulfillment partners from All Media Supply that get you the Max McNown albums, the vinyl and CDs delivered. And also to Brian, Tina, Brad, Joe, Kathy, Marty, Kate, Brendan, behind the scenes, Sam for putting up with me and not getting too angry with me going overtime, all from Talk Shop Live. But most importantly, Max McNown for continuing to share his musical gifts with all of us. Max, any last words before we part company, at least for now, to your fine fans out there?
Man, thank you everybody for showing up. This has been really fun. And thank you, Steve, for doing more research than I thought not only possible, but allowed. I am thoroughly, I'm going to make a call to my dad and thank him and truly thank you, because that was so special. My family, I'm learning more and more in my life that the way I was raised and what my family has done for me is the majority of the reason I'm anybody doing anything. And to have them pulled into this interview has been one of the most special things I've experienced on the PR side. So thank you. Thank you, Max. Really appreciate that. And your father-in-law, is it Tommy? Yes, correct. Lowellville. I will practice that next time. Yeah, so put a bunch of gravel in your mouth and then just try to Lowellville. Yeah, I just want to say hats off to Tommy from Kentucky. And I'm going to leave it at that because, I'm going to keep butchering it, but I'm going to work on it for sure. And I want to remind everybody, again, pick up the new forthcoming album from Max McNown titled Leave on a Light at the Rock and Roll Channel Talk Shop Live, personally autographed by Max on CD, the incredible double brown vinyl. While you're at it, pick up copies for your friends and family. Music and art is a gift that keeps on giving, one that will last a lifetime. This is an album that you will keep coming back to because the man has delivered an absolute classic for sure. You've worked hard this year. You deserve a copy. So buy one for yourself. And having a good authority will enhance everyone's quality of life. Max, again, thanks so much for being here this evening. And I look forward to the next time we can do it, man. I'm sorry. I feel like, man, we're just leaving it hanging, but to be continued. Yeah. I've got at least another hour session in me. So we will certainly get that going. And thank you, Steve. Until next time. My pleasure. And thank you. I look forward to that. And with everyone, we're going to close out with one last track. So don't tune out just yet. Stay safe. Enjoy, laugh, rock on. Enjoy this record. So long, everybody. Thanks again, Max. Thank you.
Long flights, Paris to Bondi, worldwide, Oregon boy in a black tie, starlight over the Hollywood sign, but nothing will ever shine as bright as your eyes. Someday I wanna be a